Welcome to Wrestling with Heart, a podcast looking at pro wrestlers giving back to their community. Join me, Stanley Carr, as I interview wrestling's hottest names who use their platforms as entertainers to raise awareness and do community service. Hello and welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Heart. This is the show where we talk with professional wrestlers and professional wrestling personalities about their lives in and outside of the ring, as well as doing acts of charity work, community service, volunteering, and spreading positivity. We're always about the positivity here on the show, and with me right now, I've got a very special guest. He has come from a wrestling family, second-generation wrestler, worked for a variety of different promotions throughout his career. I'm pleased to welcome the one and only Sam Houston. Welcome, Sam, to Wrestling with Heart.
Thank you very much, man. It really is an honor to be here. And I'm glad that I listened to your intro and stuff like that. I'm glad to see that you focus on the positive because that's what we all need. We all need positive in our lives. You know, you when people sit there in a position of authority and they're sitting there pointing a finger at your face and talking down to you, that don't get you nowhere near as that pat on the back or that attaboy or come on, keep trying, it's that pushing forward, that positivity. And that's what I like. And giving back, I like that too.
Yes, and we'll get into that in just a minute. Tell me about your upbringing.
My father was a professional wrestler. He was one of the Kentuckians. And he went all around the country. He was a main eventer. So we were moving we were moving 3-4 times a year. I lived in 21 different regions of the country, 21 different regions before I started first grade.
Okay, so you lived all over the country.
Yeah, I lived all because my dad we'd go to a territory, he'd go in, go over, get over, work a program, boom. The other guys run to the next territory, and then it was kind of like a domino effect.
Yes.
So then in 69 or 70, in the summer break after I finished first grade, we all lived together. Jake, Robin, Jolynn, and myself. We all lived together in Gainesville, Texas. But Dad came home from Florida, and we had to move because he had been working for us. From what I'm understanding, he worked for the sheriff's department doing some as a narc, I guess, is the story I had heard. And anyway, we moved in the middle of the night. Jake and Jolynn stayed in Texas with their mom and stepfather, and then Robin and my dad and mom and I, we moved to Bossier City, Louisiana. Dad went to work for Leroy McGurk as the booker.
So, all right, so the South, more or less.
Oh yeah, Louisiana. Well, yeah, I mean, but I've been all over, and then I worked. Let's see, gosh, my folks. Marriages are really hard, and theirs didn't make it. And I believe I was 12 years old or so, right around there. And some things were going on, but I had never, I didn't know about it till many years later, and I have to tell people I can't fathom that situation. God, my heart goes out to anybody that's been abused or anything like that. That never happened to me. I hate myself sometimes for not knowing, but you don't, and my heart goes out to them, and I just pray that they're living happy lives now.
Yes.
But I lived on the road with my dad from like 13 on up, so I was without adult supervision. I was on the road in the dressing rooms with the boys partying hard. I was like, I guess the Mackenzie Phillips of wrestling. When I was 15, 15 years old, I went to work at a gas station. The first one up in Bossier City. Then we moved and we were down in Baton Rouge. So I was at an Exxon station there, and that's back and forth between the two. But I was a ring crew because the first time I set the ring up, I was 9 years old with my uncle Luke Brown, my dad's tag team partner.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I just bought one of the rings from the old Mid-South territory from Bobby Fulton. I've got it in behind my garage here. I can't wait to set it up.
Amazing.
I helped the welder build this ring when I was 14 years old. And I was in the ring working out in it last year, so it's still good to go.
It's
But
full
I mean,
circle.
yeah, we built it right. But anyway, but I was the ring crew for Bill Watts in Mid-South. And then, in all my life, I was geared for pro wrestling. Then I had my tonsils taken out when I was 17. And they messed up. The anesthesiologist nicked the back of my windpipe, the pharynx. And they filled me up with the gas and I died. I flatlined on the table for 2 minutes. They did an emergency surgery, opened me up here and here. The scars are still real, big. Ran rubber tubes into my chest cavity and around my head, and they had to leave this all open from April the 2nd to August the 13th of that year.
Wow.
I did not eat food that whole time. I was fed. But anyway, I get out of the hospital. I was in a coma for 2 weeks. Oh, it was rough. But I wasn't my time to go yet. There was still stuff that our creator wanted me to do, and that's exactly what I'm gonna keep moving forward for.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely hard, being able to go through all those things. You're on the road, you got all these health issues that you're trying to overcome and work through, but you're still here with us, and it's amazing to see,
Well, yeah,
being
this
able
was
to.
when I was just 17, though. I went through this, and then so I went through, and I always wanted to be a wrestler. Well, uh, I kept on. I went from 230 to 128 pounds. It took me a whole year to gain my weight back.
Hmm.
I gained my weight back, and then the way you broke in the old time ways is you had to get in the ring and shoot with guys.
Hmm.
So who do I get is George Weingroff. Now George was legally blind, but he wrestled by feel, and what a wrestler, and what a shoot. We were out. Matter of fact, I was just talking to him about 2 weeks ago. First time in years. Well, since that time. Well, the first time, boy, I tell you what, we got in there and we went at it. I was 230 pounds. I wasn't in the best shape or anything. I was, a little pudgy. And boy, I mean, he wore me a new one, but he wore me out. But I never quit. It was over. And then so I came back the next week, and the next week we started wrestling and everything, and he couldn't get me the same way that he'd gotten me before, because I was a great wrestler. I was never, it's not saying much, but I was undefeated in high school. But you got to admit, remember, I only wrestled for a year, and one season and a half of the other one when my sister was kidnapped. So I didn't get to complete that year. But all my high school, I was undefeated for, ninth and half of 10th grade. But and then the rest of the schools I went to didn't have wrestling teams. But anyway, so then George went to my dad and he said, he's ready. He can go. And my dad looked at me and he said, well, this business is not for you, son. I've already lost you once. I'm not going to let you get in. So that, broke my heart. Well, Dusty had come into New Orleans, and I was we were, at St. Bernard Municipal Auditorium. And I was talking to Dusty, and Dusty, I guess, felt it was returning a favor. He knew I was going to get in there and get in anyway. He told me come on down to Florida, because my dad was the one that gave Dusty his big break in 1969 when Dusty was getting ready to quit the business for good. And my dad worked with him in Dallas and changed everything. And boom, the American dream, you know. So Dusty was going to return the favor. So I went down to Florida, but my dad had gotten a hold of everybody and told them not to book us, not to book me. And I just found out recently that JJ Dillon was the one that went to Dusty and said, hey, the kid's here every night with his bag, boom, 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 give him a shot. So Dusty calls me in the office and he said, okay. He said, he goes, well, I wanted, because my real name was Michael Smith, well, so he said, I said, I wanted to do this on my own. And Dusty was the one that gave me the name Sam Houston. He goes, baby, you're Michael Sam Houston from Waco, Texas. The Wildcat from Waco, Texas is what he. And then I had to learn all this stuff about Waco, Texas, but I did get to go there and wrestle there a couple of times. So that was kind of cool.
It's amazing how back in those days with wrestlers, you'd have these guys like they'd be billed from certain places, but they're never actually from there, like parts unknown
Oh
or
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I guess sometimes, whenever the thing happened with the FBI and David Koresh and all that stuff, I wanted to get away because I was starting to work for Vince. I wanted to get away from Waco, Texas, and everything. At the time, we were living in a apartment complex yeah, outside of Euless, Texas, and the name of it, the name where we were at was the Villages of Bear Creek. So that's why I changed from Waco to Bear Creek, Texas.
Dusty definitely had an eye for talent. Like you could tell he was very passionate about training the next generation of stars. I mean, as you saw up until his passing, I mean, he really was passionate about helping the youth.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, okay, I mean, and we all should be this way. We're all wrestlers should be this way. We're given, or we earn it. We work for it. We work hard for it. Flair said, I don't want a participation trophy. I want the real, but we all need to help each other because we're in an impossible business where people all they want to do is finger point at you and call you, names and stuff like that. Um, I'm proud of what I do. I go out there, I entertain, I give them a show. There ain't nobody. One of the guys I was going through a ministry class with in South Florida after I lost all my stuff in the floods in 2016. And it was a great class. Well, he was a very dear friend of mine, Ken Close. Anyway, okay, his wife had to go take care of her friend's children. The wife was sick. She had 6 kids and a husband. And we were going through the ministry class, so she went down to West Palm to take care of her friend's, family for it. And Kim was going to take care of his 2 kids, Julia and Talon. Oh, they're great kids. Anyway, we go to church every Sunday morning. Oh, well, I'd see them, I'd get excited, and people would clear out of my way because I get that tunnel vision and I just head on out. Anyway, so it was a Saturday, and oh, Ken, I believe we changed oil for all the single moms at the church that day. So I told Ken, and I was getting all, underneath and doing all the stuff underneath, putting the filters on. So Ken says, I asked him what he's going to do later. Or no, he asked me, and I said, I got to wrestle in Mineola. And I said, what are y'all doing? He said, well, I'm supposed to take the kids to the ice capades. And I said, oh, okay. He said, but I'm going to ask the kids. So I get to the Building to Office show in Mineola, Florida, and my matches were brutal there. I mean, I'm going to tell you, D. Ramos really brought it. We tore the house down. We brought attendance up from 79 people to over 300 in just 2.5 months. But anyway, so he's got it. His daughter's on the audio. He was filming the match, and he was putting a whooping on me, and she's hollering for me to hit him in the groin. 12-year-old girl. Oh gosh. But after the match was over and everything, I go outside and I'm talking to Kenny. He's like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm great." And he said, "Dude," he said, "professional wrestling is fake, but nobody told you." Dude, it is what it is. I go out there and give it my best. And what we should all do as wrestlers is to help the next generation be the top of their game. You don't go out there unless you're on your A game. You know what I mean? And that's how we all need to be. Is that's one of the times when you need to help a brother out.
Mm-hmm. Set a good example, pay it forward.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you wrestled for numerous companies, Global, one of them, Championship Wrestling from Florida as well. Tell me about some of your favorite opponents you got to work with over the years.
Oh God, I have been so blessed. I wrestled Flair like four times in singles matches, so I was involved with him a little bit. I wrestled this I wrestled some of the greatest that ever laced up the boots. And a lot of them don't get credit, but Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig. Gosh, we had fun. And what matches we had. I had great matches with Terry Taylor. Had Eddie Gilbert was awesome. I wrestled Sting, but that was when Sting was just, starting out and everything. But we had awesome matches with him, and Rick Steiner were tagging up. Barry Darsow or Crusher Khrushchev, I wrestled him in both as Demolition and, the Russians. I've been so blessed. Black Bart, me and Black Bart, well, a brute and a half on his side, three-quarters of a brute over here, and a fine technical wrestler. But
Mhm.
we could go out there and tear the house down, and we did. We're not allowed to wrestle in Pennsylvania or Maryland. Our matches were so brutal. We beat up the state athletic commission, you know. But my job is to go out there and give you the best. And I
Mhm.
can't be the best unless I give it my all, and that's what I'm here to do.
You got to give it 100% at all times, even 110, when it calls for it. And you also got to work in the WWE as well, had a little run there. What was that like?
That was fun. Really opens your eyes as to corporate and business and BS and this, that, and the other. But it's nice to see that after all these years that I'm still respected, well, and well thought of, even though the past that I've had, after I got out of prison, uh, I had to pay to see my brother get inducted into the Hall of Fame, and I worked for the
Hmm.
company too. you know. So I paid $340 to took a friend with me. We watched him get inducted in the Hall of Fame, and then I had to buy a ticket for WrestleMania, and then on the first day, I guess a lot of people I was creating a stir. Because I was on social media a little bit, just learning because my buddies offshore, while I was in work release, helped me get on that. I couldn't do anything, but because I was a celebrity, whatever, I was allowed to have a page. So it started off with the Sam Houston Fan Nation thing, and then it turned over to Michael Sam Houston, and now I've got my friend Amy Friggle, and she's running my Sam Houston page. So I'm going pretty good. And then I got a YouTube. I haven't put any content up or anything like that because I guess, lost in real life, in what I can do to help somebody that's in need right there. Like if it's like going and doing the roof of the church or something like that, which I just did that a few months back, or
Mhm.
helping build the ramps or whatever I need to do, to help people out.
Was there like a particular time when you were helping someone out that just was really like it touched you? It really touched your heart?
Oh, a lot of times touched my heart. The first time I went to when I worked for Crockett, they sent me to Eggleston. It's either Eagleston or Eggleston Hospital in Atlanta for terminally ill children on Christmas Day. And I never will forget, there was that fella from the Dukes of Hazzard that was the mechanic, Cooter, was there, and we were going room to room and talking to kids. And I walked into one room, and this kid, he had just had a big part of his skull removed. The tumor was inoperable. All they could do was remove the skull and make room for it. It was, oh, but I walked in the room and he knew every match that I had ever wrestled on TBS, the whole 9 yards. And that touched my heart. And I was able to bring him joy. It, but that's a hard thing because when you walk back out of that room, like you and I, whenever this conversation's over, it's all right later, and we'll go our own way. And we may cross paths, we may not, but if we do, hey, later, we're good. This kid, when you walk out of the room, he's not going to be there long. And that was hard.
Yeah, it's definitely a very tough situation to be in, somebody that's suffering from an illness or somebody that's on the verge of dying,
Charlie Norris, my tag team partner, we were the Renegades in Texas, well, all over the world. We went to Japan 5 times, New Guinea, all kinds of stuff. Anyway, Charlie wrestled for WCW when his contract expired. That's when we got together and we wrestled. We were the Renegades. And we were the PWA champions twice. We wrestled out of Texas, out of the Sportatorium, out of Louisiana, made several trips for Yatsu in Japan. Anyway, while we were wrestling in the Sportatorium, they had these box seats, the like cattle guards kind of where that they would sell. Well, we went to a children's hospital and we talked to the children. We got just a tremendous response, but we wanted to do more, and we wanted to, let these kids see us more than just on TV. So we talked to Omar, and Omar was the fella. He did the maintenance at the Sportatorium. He took out all those chairs and tables that were in those little caged in areas. And then we got a bus and we were able to bring a bunch of those kids from the hospital with their hospital beds, the nursing staff, everything. It was great for one night,
I mean, it's got to feel good, when you have like people that are big wrestling fans, especially kids that, they're suffering and they want to enjoy something, take some time out of their day to just enjoy and escape the problems that they're dealing with, be able to be entertained for
Yeah,
an
well, when
hour
they
or
got
two.
there, me and Charlie, we went out there and we're setting them up, helping them and talking with them and everything. And all the other guys are sitting in the back and they're like kind of mad. I don't be mad. Come out here and talk to them. Please go talk to them. That's what they're here for.
Yeah.
So then they come around and went out there and started signing autographs and stuff like that. But they I guess people like to switch the narratives and whatever and try to make things fit, you know.
I mean, do you ever hit the convention circuit ever? Do you get to go out there and see fans or just even in general, do people it's got to
I
feel
go
good.
to I go to some of the signings and stuff. I've been to a few of them. I've been to the Gathering because it's close by in Charlotte. I went to Ohio a few times for big time wrestling, and then they had a convention. I went to the one up in New York, and I've been to the Cauliflower Alley Club for a few years, but uh, where my wife and I are lifetime members there, and I encourage everybody to look into that if they like to help and be a part of the wrestling world and stuff. It's a big convention out in Vegas, but the last couple of years I haven't been able to carve time out for it.
But it's gotta feel good whenever you see some of these people, like, walk up to you, come up to you, and they're
Oh,
like,
it's
"Man,
it's
this was my
great. It's
childhood."
great. You're talking old times. Shoot, I could. It's kind of like I can be a superstar for 4 or 5 hours till I get tired of it. Go jump in the car. I can go, go home, whatever, and then I got, my chores to do. You know, so
To to have all that nostalgia from the '70s, '80s, and '90s into the 2000s and beyond, that people still remember wrestling. They still remember seeing you on TV. I mean,
oh
it's gotta
yeah, well, it's kind of like my wife and I, we've got a cabin in Boone, North Carolina. So we went to go to the cabin to spend the weekend, and we get to a restaurant, and we're sitting down at a restaurant, and a guy comes over and he goes, "You're Sam Houston," and I was like, "Yeah." And then he asked my wife, he goes, "Could you take a picture with me and him, please?" So, and like a couple of days later or something, I'm walking through Walmart and somebody recognized because I'm still active. I still wrestle. I still do things.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to know where to find me. And so I ended up signing a few autographs at Walmart, and so another guy was with us. One of the other wrestlers from Canada, as we were walking out, they didn't recognize him. As we're walking out, I said, I think we ought to walk back in there, and then I'll go up to you and ask you for your autograph. I wonder what other people would think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, but yeah, just playing around.
Yeah. I mean,
No, but it's great. I get treated very well when I'm at these things. Uh, I get to see some of the guys and stuff and relive some old memories and stuff. And it's fun. I do enjoy it, but I got to take care of the family first. All these years, this business came first in my life, and that's where I guess we make the mistake. Uh, people get brought in or I guess led in by all the dreams and all the things that we're gonna that can happen for you,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And then at the end of that ride, where you see all everybody's at now in their life, people struggling to survive. Well, what you did not take care of you. Well, now I'm still young enough to do more to be able to take care of myself and to help others along the way.
Well, why do you feel passionate about helping out in your community?
Well, I guess I've been through a lot of stuff. I mean, uh, gosh, when I was what 16, 15 or 16, 2000, what, 9, tornado hit our house, tore up our whole neighborhood. Uh, the, our house was the only structure left standing on the block. It had taken our roof off, spun it around, and then set the roof back down with all the curtains hanging on the outsides of the walls. Um, uh, but the only two fatalities were at the end of the block, two girls there. My father was the one that was able to pick up a brick wall and the car that was on top of that, because the girls were under that on top of a bed. He was able to pick that up, and the father got the girls out. They were still breathing when they pulled the girls out. They died of shock later. But me and my best bud in high school, or my best buds really in high school, went out and we were digging people out of the rubble. So I guess you learn when crap happens, and it's got to get done. It's up to you to get it done. And I've been in several instances like that. When I was in prison at in Alexandria, gosh, it was J. Levy Dabadie. It was the only full trustee prison in the state, meaning the prisoners were allowed to go outside the prison walls and work for doing manual labor jobs and get paid half minimum wage. But we didn't get to keep the money. The prison got to keep the money for that, but they would make half minimum wage. So I worked on the road crew for 7 months, and then my sarge was taking some time off, and the Mississippi River. We weren't too awful far away. We were probably about an hour away. The Mississippi River was threatening to breach the levee. They took 2 vans of inmates from our jail every day. Every morning we leave at 5 to get there, like right after sunup, and we would form chain lines with 80-pound sandbags, and we had to sandbag the Mississippi River levee, and we put our hands on for 22 days in a row. We put our hands on between 14,000 and 22,000 sandbags a day. Because you're in the chain line, boom, boom, the conveyor belt. So I've been in situations, I've been in the earthquake in Northridge. When that earthquake hit, that was the scariest 27 seconds of my life.
Wow.
And, but you got to act and
Mhm.
to get out of that building and then to go back, have the guts or the fortitude or whatever to get in there and knock those doors down and get your neighbors out too. You know, and I ended up re-injuring myself. I'd gotten injured in Roanoke, Virginia one night, and ruptured some stuff in my neck, and I was out for about 9 months with partial paralysis with this doctor in California. That was after during this, well, right after the split up with my wife, ex-wife, and everything. Went to California, and this doctor was working on me, Dr. Irving Schaffner, and he had a lot of procedures that he was doing to me, but he it took him a long time, but without surgery, he was able to heal me to where I could walk again and get around normally. And then the Northridge earthquake hit, and I re-injured myself again, and I was down for another 6 months, dragging with the left side. But he got me back on my feet again. And then the funny thing, so my career was over, and then I fly to Atlanta to visit my dad, and I was running into Charlie Norris, and my career takes back off again.
Yeah.
So
Well, your story, it's very inspiring because you've been through a lot, and the fact that you're able to help others and pay it forward now, it's really remarkable. And Sam, I just want to say thank you again for coming on to Wrestling with Heart. It means a lot to me and to the listeners and viewers that are watching this on
yeah.
YouTube. Where can people find more about you on social media if they want to get in touch with you?
Well, right now, if you go on Facebook and type in Sam Houston, you see my picture on the profile. I got my black hat on, my duster and stuff. Hit me up. You can find me there. Then we've got a page that you can follow that page. Then there's Sam Houston Fan Nation, and just a group. And then I'm on YouTube, but I don't really reach out, do too much on it. I'm getting ready to start. I'm getting ready to change a lot of things. I've got some stuff I'm going through, and I'm gonna have to really devote some time into working on myself, getting myself strong again. I've got a procedure coming up, and I want to be able to be ring ready again by my birthday, which is in October. So if Stanley, if you want to, I mean, dude, you keep in touch with me, and
Yes.
I'll come back on. We'll talk some more
Absolutely. And
sometime.
well, thanks again, Sam. You're more than welcome to come back on the show.
Sure, cool. You take care.
You too. This is Wrestling with Heart. I hope you found this podcast to be informative and entertaining. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and look out for the next edition.